Alright, so 5 months ago, I asked you guys what your favorite cozy games were, and while a lot of you said Minecraft, quite a few of you also said Stardew Valley. I've never played this game, nor have I ever watched anybody's Let's Plays. I watched a 1-year checklist, so I have any idea what I was doing, and a how-to mod. So let's get into our relatively blind Stardew Valley Let's Play. The character creator was way more extensive than I thought it was going to be. I definitely had a lot of fun playing around with this, which was a great first start. We became Morgan of Straw Baby Farms, whose favorite thing was matcha, with an animal preference towards an orange cat. Fun fact, I just moved into a new house, and it actually came with a very, very friendly orange cat. I can't decide whether I want to name him Garfield or Cheeto, so let me know in the comments which one you think is cuter. We went with the forest farm, and it began our new journey. Day 1 was a lot of me getting used to just moving around, moving things around, finding the different buttons, and adjusting to the UI of the game itself. I also went ahead and followed one of the tips from that 15 tips video of moving the bed and the TV closer to the door, so that way if you're running back home late, you have just a little bit less space that you need to go through to get to your bed. After opening my gift of a few parsnip seeds, I went out to explore the town. There I discovered a calendar and a quest board. It takes me a good while to get used to the fact that this game has an actual clock. It's something I actually ignore for a really long time, and our energy levels. I ran around and talked to anyone that I could see, hoping to get through that introduce yourself quest, and then when it was finally open, I went into the general store. There I sold the parsnip seeds and bought some potatoes and kale. I started to dig out a plot for planting the seeds, but didn't really like its position, so after that I got to work kind of cleaning up the area so I could dig out a different spot. I figured close to the house makes sense, since I probably wasn't going to be exploring very far at first, and just tilled enough soil to plant the seeds that I had bought. After that, I got back to work clearing out more space around the farm. I didn't realize you had to chop down the stumps too. I thought that they would just kind of disappear on their own after a while. I continued clearing space out all throughout the evening and eventually went to bed around 8:30 p.m. I wasn't exactly sure when the night ended, so I didn't want to risk it. I also struggled going to bed for that first night. The next morning, I woke up to a letter from the fishman asking me to visit the beach. When I was done watering, I wrote out a quick to-do list and then created a chest because my inventory was already full. The fishman was kind enough to gift me a fishing rod, and I tried to catch my first fish. Now I understand it's a fairly popular opinion to hate the fishing minigame. I agree, so I immediately bought the training rod. Back at the farm, I got to work just clearing out some more trees, hoping to stack up some wood and make a little bit more space. And then I planted some of the mixed seeds I had found while I was cutting grass. After smacking some rocks, we found a geode And at night we reached level 1 foraging. In the morning, I woke up to an advertisement for a new backpack at Pierre's General Store. That was definitely something I'd be buying soon since I kept running out of inventory space ridiculously quickly. Day 4, I didn't really do much. I tried to find some nice pathways on the farm and just continued kind of cleaning the space up, and then I went fishing at the pond. I was not very successful. I caught 1 fish, some trash, and then a whole lot of nothing. On day 5, capitalism decided to say good morning, so we were already off to a bad start. But I went ahead and planted more seeds. These are just more mixed seeds I had found from cutting grass. When we went to explore the town, the mayor called us to the community center. At least, what used to be the community center. After I played through that cutscene, I went to check the help wanted board, where Evelyn had asked for a horseradish, something I had already foraged up. I tried just talking to her a few times, not really sure why it wasn't triggering the next stage or the completion of the quest. Then I realized I had actually be holding the thing to gift it to her. When I went back to the actual community center, I found a strange tablet in a language I couldn't interpret. And a weird little creature disappeared when I walked in the room. The mayor didn't seem to have anything useful to say about the community center, so I wonder how that's going to progress. I went to check out that backpack and realized I was insanely poor. So I added getting 2,000 monies to our to-do list. I then spent the day talking to anyone I could find, where I met Haley, who ignored me, and I loved that. And then placed some torches around the farm. On day 6, I woke up to a letter from the wizard. I then both destroyed and harvested our first crops. I sold some of the things that we had to the general store and immediately spent all that money on more seeds. Then I went off searching for the wizard's tower. Warning! I am a cheater and I'm about to turn a setting that completely changes the game. If you don't like mods or having any fun, please turn away. So one of the mods that I have is a cheat menu that allows me to adjust certain settings. While I recognize this is game breaking in certain ways, I just don't have the patience to move that slowly, so I increased our movement speed. Eventually, I found the wizard's tower in the southern forest. He told me that that weird little creature I had found was a spirit of the area, and then he yeeted himself out the window. After that very strange encounter, I went back to the farm to add in some pathways and just make things look a little bit nicer. I think it's an unfortunate consequence of this game that you're gonna find out I'm actually really dumb and really bad at games. I'm not good at navigating whatsoever, and I'm just constantly running into things. On the morning of day 7, most of our crops were ready to harvest, including a good bit of kale and some potatoes. I do think it's really cool that the way that you harvest different crops varies. Having to use the scythe for the kale to cut it down, whereas the potatoes you can simply pull out of the ground. Loving that. I then went to explore and met who I was sure was going to be the future love of my life, Jody. I was aware that romance was an aspect of this game, but all the impressions I'd made of the men so far weren't so I kind of decided to either be her or Haley. Back at the community center, I was now able to read the tablets and finally knew what people meant by bundle completion. I spent that afternoon fishing, trying to get what I could from the ocean. And since I had already had all of the items in my storage, I went back and completed the foraging bundle. From that, I was gifted a thing of spring seeds. That night, we reached level 1 farming. The next day was raining, which was just insanely cozy, so I decided to go ahead and plant all of those seeds that we had gotten, just to see what they actually consisted of. If I could go back, I would probably save like 10 of them, just in case I needed them in the future. I took a bunch of stuff I had gathered to go get some money from Pierre's. And popped all of our geodes. I wasn't really sure if I should be giving things to the museum or if I should be holding on to them, but I went ahead and gave whatever he would take, and that gave me 250 gold. Back at the farm, I continued our pathways, hoping to make it a little bit easier to get from one exit to the next. On the morning of day 9, Clint dropped off the blueprints for a furnace. So I figured today was as good a day as any to check out the mines. I absolutely love spelunking in Minecraft, so I figured I would love it here too. I will say the sound design of this game is insane. I love almost every aspect of it. Every sound effect, everything, it just really immerses you in the experience. However, I went into the mines with basically no food, which meant I couldn't stay as long as I wanted. That night I reached level 1 mining, and the next morning I woke up to a special friend. Seems a stray cat had been hanging around my farm, so now I had a little furry buddy named Miso. I also woke up to a decent parsnip harvest. I really didn't know what else to do with myself that day, so I went fishing off the harbor. I sold some of the day's catch to Willie, took a look at his stock, and completed the How to Win Friends task. On day 12, I learned we were going to have an egg festival. I then went and bought a whole bunch of seeds. Finally upgraded our backpack. And then went foraging at the beach. It should be pretty apparent that most of the time I really have no idea what to do with myself. I realize I should be earning some money and seeds are important to keep growing crops, but I didn't have any real specific goals at this point, apart from completing spring. I sold some of what I found to the fishman, and then gave the beach loaner a gift he was not very happy to receive. Day 13, I woke up to our dad sending us 500 gold and an advertisement for a well. I didn't really see the point of getting a well since there were already ponds on the property, so I got to work harvesting and watering. I was hoping to sell some goods to Pierre, but I realized that the festival meant his normal operations were not available. I also wished I wasn't so poor, because that plush bunny was insanely cute. I did buy a couple of strawberry seeds. If I could go back, I probably would have bought a lot more. And just ignored the dumb seasonal plant. I did run around a bit, but since I hadn't really made friends with anyone, there was no real point to this festival for me. So I went home and went to bed, where I got level 2 farming. And before anyone asks, yes, I have been checking the Weather Channel and the Fortune Teller and Queen of Sauce when it pops up. On day 14, I harvested our first cauliflower. It was about this point I was kind of wondering what this big chest did, but didn't actually bother investigating. Went out and sold a whole bunch of stuff. Then I headed back down into the mines. By this point, I had discovered field snacks, so I wasn't completely without food. And I also came across a new type of moss. While down here, I was successful in reaching level 5, which allowed me a new elevator entrance. That night, on the way back, I triggered this cutscene of the homeless man going through the old people's garbage. I really wish there was something we could do for him, and I hope later in the game we're able to, I don't know, help him find a place to be. I don't understand why the villagers of this kind of like small environment wouldn't do more to take care of him. The next day, I woke up to a message from the Adventurers Guild. I had no idea who or what or where this was, but I could easily deal with 10 slimes. I then made our first furnace, which I tried to smelt our copper ore in. But after trying to throw it in, or just stand with it there, I got a little frustrated not being able to figure out how to get it to work, so I went back into the mines. These little sandworm things freaked me out way more than they should have, but I was fairly low on health at this point. I'd found an amethyst down there, so I gave it to the girl with purple hair. She seemed pretty happy with it. I went through a round of popping the geodes and donating stuff to the museum, where I then received a bunch of cauliflower seeds. That night, I figured out how to work the furnace, so the next morning I woke up to a fully cooked copper bar. At this point, it was my goal to upgrade our tools, so this was just a start in that direction. I had also moved our storage and got a little bit of a color coding system set up. I harvested all of our mixed seeds and went to explore the forest for forageables. Looking back, I wish I had grabbed more berries. I do every now and then, but I mostly just ignore the bushes. I think that would have been a great food source at this point that I just was not taking advantage of. While exploring, I did find Robin's lost axe and filled up our entire inventory. I went to sell our goods at Pierre's when a cutscene triggered. Morris 100% looks like a 1940s banker that like stole your family farm and land through some legal shenanigans. Well, most of the villagers are completely unloyal to their local store. I wouldn't delivered a gift to Jody. For money. And Robin back her axe. Also for money. After which I went back to the farm and got to work chopping down as many trees as I could. I was trying to save up wood so we could eventually build our chicken coop. On day 17, I kind of continued that, just kept chopping down wood, clearing space, and selling anything I could to amass resources for that coop. On day 18, there were pink petals falling from the sky, which really made me think of that Minecraft Cherry Grove biome. Our green beans had finally grown, so I was able to complete the spring crops bundle. Then I went and bought and planted a whole bunch of potatoes. This day was Pam's birthday, so I was gonna get her a beer, but that was just way too expensive. Instead, I bought myself some bread so I'd have a better food source when I'm down in the mines. That night we reached level 3 farming. In the morning, I woke up to a letter from Jody asking for a fresh cauliflower. Thankfully, I had one that I could immediately pick from the garden. I went to the beach to see if there's anything good to forage. I did eventually figure out that these little clovers are things that you're supposed to dig up. I sold all the things we found to Willie and then went and delivered Jody her cauliflower. After which I tried to get to level 10 in the mines, but spent way too much time down there. I managed to make it home at the 11th hour, and that night we received a level 2 mining. The next day I ran into Shane. He just gives such bum energy. I don't understand anybody that romances him. But our coop was finally finished, so I bought our first chicken, who I named Chunkello. This was another day I really didn't know what to do with myself, so I went foraging for a bit in the forest and then tried to fish from the lake down there. Took me no time at all to get bored of that, and I went to chopping trees instead. Aw, look at the butterflies. I love butterflies, like, so much. In the night we reached level 4 foraging, and the next morning I woke up to a gift from Miss Jody. It was quality fertilizer, which I had no idea how to use. I spent most of this day back in the mines. With each level, I like to try to run all the way around wherever I could first, just to see if I can spot an open ladder, since at this point I was just focused on getting each mine entrance. This time I was successful in getting to level 10, where I was gifted leather boots. Unfortunately, I spent way too long underground and died. Just kidding. The mayor found me passed out and brought me home. A few coins short, but still. I cooked up some of the copper and harvested the first 2 and only strawberries of the season. I then picked up a quest to bring Emily a bream, something I already had in storage. And it really wasn't until this point that I realized her and Haley were sisters. Also when I realized I hadn't been paying any real attention to anyone here. I then gifted Haley something she loved. And spent the rest of the day messing around on the farm. It wasn't until this day, 22 days in, that I realized you could access this part of the farm. On day 23, I woke up to a notice of the flower dance, explored a dark tunnel, which went nowhere, sold some goods, and popped a few geodes. I also dropped off our pickaxe for an upgrade. I ran into Haley again, who was mean to me, so I brought her a flower. I then gave one to the beach loner, who once again was not happy with my gift. And near the end of the day, I planted some more parsnips. We were running out of time, so I didn't want to plant anything that would go over season, and parsnips I think only took about 4 days to grow. Unfortunately, the recording for days 24 and 25 just noped out of existence. So, day 26, we started out getting our first egg from Chunkello. At this point, I'd kind of fallen into a routine of days that I didn't know what to do, of going to the beach and foraging, and potentially fishing. Seemed to me the only way to make money was to sell things to Pierre or Willie, or complete quests, like this delivery of cauliflower to the smith. I then went and hung out with a pretty lady in the woods, who sold not at all a sketchy assortment of things. I then tried to hang out with Haley, who ignored me, and when I tried to gift her a flower, I ate it in front of her. Naturally, I ran straight home and went to bed for the rest of the night. Day 27, I bought a companion for Chunkello and named him William. I then found out it was Emily's birthday. I brought her a gift and realized she's the one who liked me most in town. She's one of the least interesting characters to me. Anyways, after that interaction with her, I spent nearly the whole evening fishing. And on day 28, the final day of spring, I woke up to a salad recipe from Emily. I then went and tore down all of our crops and patches. I know this wasn't necessary, but I was not going to give the change of the season the satisfaction of doing it for me. Next season, I plan to be more intentional with my planting and create better looking farm patches. I spent most of this day in the mines, where I found a slime-infested floor. That charging straight through probably wasn't my best plan. I figured I still had the time, health, and energy to keep going, but as I pressed further downward, I came into a very aggressive flying bug and noped my way out of there. And as our final accomplishment of the season, we had reached level 3 in mining. And that was my first experience with Stardew Valley. Since this, I've actually played all the way into fall, so there will definitely be a follow-up episode. Let me know what you guys think and what you think I should do better in the next season. As always, thank you so much for watching. Yes, there will be more Minecraft content soon, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.